Hey everyone, it's Carly Hall, and in this video I am going to show you how to use your Cricut and some different fonts and show you how to write with your Cricut machine. So if you didn't already know, your Cricut can actually use pens and write on different materials. For example, I'm going to show you how to write on a already created envelope so that you can address it and look like you have perfect handwriting. So we're going to show you the basics of how to use the writing feature, and then I'll show you how to line it up and get a perfectly addressed envelope. To get started, we are going to choose the text option on the left-hand side toolbar, and we're just going to type out a practice word. I'm using Design Space on a computer, so it may look a little bit different if you're using an iOS or Android device, but don't worry, all of these options are on every single app. You just kind of have to look in different places for these tools. To resize your image, you can pull on this handle and make it bigger or smaller. You can also come up to the top, and while your word is selected, you will have this font edit toolbar. You can resize it by typing in the point size of the font or typing in the width in inches or the height as well. That's all the different ways that you can resize your image, and now we're going to change it into a writing style. When the Cricut sees this right now, you can see on the layers panel over on the right-hand side that the Cricut thinks that we want to cut this image. So if I were to click Make It, I would send it to my Cricut machine, and the Cricut fine point blade would follow the outermost image and cut out this word. Now, if I wanted it to draw it, my first inclination would be to change the line type up at the top to draw. But if I do that, you'll see that the outline is only converted into a draw option. So you'll get these kind of bubble looking letters. And I know for most of us, that's not what we want. What our mind thinks that the letter should do is actually create a single stroke of the version so it looks like it's hand drawn in a single line. The Cricut does do that, but that's not the way to change it to the writing style. So let's change it back to cut. I'm using a Maker, so you can see there are several different line types up here. If you're using an Explore machine, you will also have the cut and draw option as well as score. Now we're going to change it to the writing style. I'm using the default font, Cricut Sans, and I'm going to choose under style this writing option. Now the font will be transformed into a single line font, which is what we want. Our pen will just follow the single line and write out our word. Since it's a Cricut font, we have this option, but if we were using a font on our computer, I'll show you here. If I come to System Fonts, all of my fonts that I've installed as the user, they do not have that option. For example, this Arial rounded font, if I came to the style, there is no writing option since it's not a Cricut font. So in order to take advantage of those writing styles, you'll want to make sure that you're filtered to Cricut and then filtered to writing. All of these fonts have a writing style. If you're not an Access subscriber, you will have to pay to use most of these fonts. The Cricut Sans one is included, so that one will always be free. But if I wanted to use any of these other fonts, birthday cakes for example, if you are not subscribed to Access, you'll have to pay for that font. If you're an Access subscriber, they are included in your monthly subscription, and you can cut and draw these for unlimited use during your subscription. Okay, so now that we understand how to choose a font that works with this writing style, we're going to talk about how to attach it to a shape to be cut out on your Cricut. So for example, if I wanted to insert a heart, I'm going to change my heart to light pink, and we're going to leave the writing to be black, and we want it to go on top. So I have two options. I can click the Arrange and send to front, or I can drag my font above the heart on my layers panel. Again, we can resize by using the handle, and then we can adjust and place it where we want. I'm going to select both and align to the center. Now, if I were to click Make It right now, I'll show you what happens. The Cricut thinks that I want to draw love on one mat and then cut my heart on another. But that's not what I want it to do. I would like it to draw love on my heart. So I'm going to go back to the canvas, highlight both, and then choose Attach. The attach icon looks like a paper clip. So whenever you think of the word attach, think of a paper clip and holding your writing layer on top of your cut layer. Now we're going to click Make It, and you can see that love is on top of my cut. So my Cricut will draw the love and then cut it out. So now that we're pros, we're going to move on to how to address an envelope. So let's clear this out and start from this beginning point again. Again, click on text, and then you'll type out whatever words you'd like. For me, I'm going to send a note to the Cricut headquarters. And you can choose any font that you want. Again, if you're an Access subscriber, anything with that A will be included in your subscription. But if you're not an Access member, you'll also see prices like the $4.99 to use this font, and you can see which font you would like to use. But again, the Cricut Sans font is free, so I will use that one. There are a couple other Cricut fonts that are free that you'll see. If you're not an Access subscriber, that will just be indicated with free. So we're going to choose Cricut Sans, and then I'm going to adjust my alignment, center it. You can adjust your letter spacing or your line spacing, so you have lots of options here. Once you have it how you'd like, we can resize it to fit onto our envelope. I'm going to turn off the grids by clicking on the upper left little square so that you can see what's going on. And then I'm going to draw a rectangle. My rectangle for my envelope is going to be 7.25 inches wide by 5.25 inches. And then I'm going to change that to white so we can see our envelope. Again, we're going to draw the writing on top of the card envelope, so I'll move that so we can see what it's going to start to look like. So I'm just going to eyeball it where I want it. You could also use your align tools, and you can play around with making it bigger or smaller, or say you want to drop your zip code to the next line and you want to add some dots between it. You can make this as fancy as you want. So once you have it positioned, I'm also going to add a return address in the upper left-hand corner. And I like to give myself a little bit of a buffer so that it doesn't draw off the edge of my envelope. And then I'm going to center this one. Now, if I want to change the color of my pen while selecting your writing, you'll see again that it's on the draw line type, and then there is a color swatch. If you come over here, you can see that Cricut has all of the different pen offerings that they sell. I'm going to use a glitter gel pen, so I'm going to choose that, and these are all the colors that are available. I have a violet pen, so I'll select that. I could change this to a different color, so if I wanted this to be a different glitter gel pen, I could do that. But I'm going to use the same color and change it to violet. So now that my envelope is ready to go, once again, I would attach it. But if I attach this, I'm going to show you on the next screen that my Cricut thinks that I want to draw this and then cut my rectangle out. But since I already have an envelope, I'm going to show you a little bit of a hack that helps me out, completely optional, but I do like doing this, so hopefully it'll help you too. So I'm going to go back to my canvas, and instead of having my rectangle cut, I'm going to change it to score. That way, when I make it, it's going to just kind of score around where the rectangle would cut, but it's already an envelope, so it'll make sense when I show it to you while we're cutting, hopefully. So everything is attached together. Again, if you haven't attached it yet, you'll select everything and make sure that the attach function is there, and you'll also see the attach, and I have my to text and a scored rectangle. Now we're going to click Make It, and you'll see it on the map preview screen. Now, I have had the best luck lining it up completely in the center. I have tried moving it to just the 1x1 mark, and I just feel like the center is the easiest place to get it the best accuracy. So I like putting mine directly in the center, and I kind of just use the grids to make sure it's in the center. So you can see that I have 1, 2, 3, and about a half. 1, 2, 3, and a little bit less than a half, so I'm going to drop that down. And then I just line it up again the same way. I have 1, 2, and a little bit, 1, 2, and a little bit, so I can just move that over. So that way, when I'm ready to cut it, I'm just going to line it up my best in the exact center of my mat. And you'll see again that we have the score and then the draw. So a little bit of a hack, but hopefully it'll make sense when we're cutting. Okay, so now we're going to connect to our machine. Again, this works the same on both a Maker and an Explore Air 2. So we're going to choose our material. Since we're not cutting anything, our material doesn't really matter. I'm just going to choose medium cardstock since my envelope is pretty similar to cardstock. Now you'll see these tools. This is important because we're going to click Edit Tools right here. If you're on an Explore machine, you won't have to do this step since the scoring stylus is standard. But on a Maker, click Edit Tools and choose the scoring stylus. The reason we're choosing the scoring stylus is because the Maker will not detect if it's not in your machine. So we don't actually need to use it. If we tried to use our scoring wheel, it would go over and try to detect it. And then since we don't have it, it'd be kind of a mess. So we're gonna choose the scoring stylus and click Apply. You'll also see that you have the pens that you're going to use in the next step. So you'll make sure that you have your scoring stylus, no tool in clamp B, and then we're gonna load our mat. So we're ready to go. So I have my envelope and it has just a regular closure on the back. And I'm using a light grip mat, the light blue one, so that it doesn't destroy my envelope. I'm going to look for the center of the mat, just like I put it on the mat preview screen. So you'll want to make sure that you're placing it exactly in the same spot that you were on your computer or device. So you'll see that I have 2 and about a quarter. It's a little bit crooked. So this part is probably your hardest part because you're just lining it up. When I'm doing a whole bunch of envelopes, I just cut a template and put it on my mat so then I can place this directly inside. And then I have 3 and a quarter, 3 and a quarter. So it's lined up, ready to go, and now I will load it into my machine. So you'll place your mat under the clamps, and then while still holding onto your mat, click the load button. You'll also notice that there is no tool in clamp A, so there is no scoring stylus, but what the Cricut will do is it will score around where it thinks it should score, and that will give me a good idea if I've lined my envelope up properly. So here you can see that it is scoring without a tool around the edge of my envelope, and you can see that my envelope is in the right position. Next Design Space will prompt you to put your next tool in. So it says load violet in clamp A, so we'll do that now. So you'll uncap your pen, and then when you're loading your pen in, you'll open clamp A. You'll want to hold down at the bottom of the clamp, and while still holding, press down until the arrow on your pen disappears. So once it's clamped in, you're going to close that and then click the flashing C. Once your machine is done, I like to pull out the pen so I don't forget, cap it, and then place it back in the holder. And then we're gonna unload the mat. To unload your mat, you're going to flip over the mat and peel the envelope face down so that your mat curls back and your envelope stays flat. Then you can see that the envelope is perfectly centered. The writing is in the upper left-hand corner and in the center of your envelope. So if you end up using this hack, you'll have to let me know because it's one of those things that does add an extra step, but I really do think it's helpful. And I wish you could see just how glittery this font or the glitter pen is because it's really pretty in real life. So you'll have to let me know if you try this or if you have other tips and tricks that you think might work better. If you found this video helpful, make sure you like it and subscribe to my channel and turn on the notifications so that you are notified in the future And if you're looking for any of the products used in this video, I will link them in the description below. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.